Sup? I know it's been a while since my last upload, but it's kinda tough juggling school and this at the same time, so I hope you all understand. Anyway, today we'll be doing a really popular Korean car here in Singapore, so let's go for a drive. Exterior wise, I really like the design of this generation's Elantra. The design is pretty simple and the lines on the car, they're really clean. I mean, they even took the effort to mold the shape of the boot to form sort of like a rear spoiler, which to me looks really good. Personally, I feel like this car looks even better than the updated version, which they call the Avante right now. That car just looks a little bit weird. It's like the designer just went all out with triangles and like sharp edges everywhere. So yeah, that car's not exactly for me. Moving on to the interior of the Elantra, straight up you can tell that it does not feel as premium as the Mazda 3 that we reviewed earlier. There are lots of hard plastics being used everywhere, and it just makes the car feel a little bit cheap. But at least, the build quality is decent and everything seems to be fitted well. The infotainment system has Bluetooth, navigation, and also radio. However, the graphics isn't exactly that sharp and it's also a little bit laggy. Another thing about this car is there's no Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Basically, there's nothing fancy about the Elantra's interior. But it's practical, it's well built, and it does the job. So as we head to the rear of the Elantra, the car is slightly wider and bigger than the Mazda 3, so there's a bit more space in the back. So as you can see, I'm about 1.75 meters and there's decent legroom and there's decent headroom. The seats, they are also comfortable and also well supported. This car even has rear aircon vents, which is something that you don't usually find in cars in this segment. Now, there is still a transmission tunnel in the Elantra, but it's way smaller than the one in the Mazda 3. So carrying an adult in the middle is actually doable, but I still would not recommend 3 adults at the back. So, as we head to the back of the car, the Elantra has a boot capacity of 458 litres. The shape of the boot is pretty similar to the Mazda's and is slightly bigger than the Mazda 3. You should be able to fit at least 2 20-inch luggages and have a little bit more room to spare. And if you need even more space, you can fold down the rear seats by pulling these levers over here, and that will increase the amount of storage space. Alright, so now that we're on the road, there are a few things you need to know about the Hyundai Elantra. The Elantra has a 1.6 litre engine that produces 126 horsepower along with 155 Nm feet of torque. So again, this isn't a very fast car lah. On paper, right, the Elantra is slightly more powerful than the Mazda 3, but when I'm actually driving the vehicles, I feel like the Mazda 3 is more responsive and more eager to actually accelerate. The first thing that I realized about the Elantra is the sound insulation. It is pretty quiet in here. It is significantly softer and quieter than the Mazda 3 that we reviewed earlier. I'm not saying that it's insulated like a Continental car, because it's not, but for a car in this category, it's already very good. The suspension on the Elantra is firm, but it's also damped pretty well. It soaks up the bumps on the road, and it feels planted to the ground. In fact, this car is even more comfortable than the Mazda 3, and if I were to go on a long journey, right, I might actually choose this over the Mazda 3. I think another reason why this car rides this comfortably could be due to the thick tyres and the small rims that comes as standard on the Elantra. Oh, and by the way, I hate those rims. This car definitely deserves bigger and better looking rims, which for them worsens the car's ride quality, but people are willing to sacrifice to look good, right? Now, the steering on the Elantra doesn't exactly give you much feedback about what's happening with the front wheels, but it's light and it's comfortable enough for everyday driving here in Singapore. For fuel consumption, this car has a 50 litre fuel tank, and Hyundai claims that this car can do up to 15.6 km per litre. But from what I'm averaging, I'm getting about 12 to 14 km per litre, depending on how I drive, which is honestly quite decent, and I feel that this car is directly competing against the old Mazda 3 that we reviewed earlier. To sum up the Elantra, I guess for everyday driving, there isn't much fault in this car. The only downsides I can think of would be the materials used for the interior. But other than that, at this price point, you shouldn't be complaining too much lah. Basically, the Elantra is one of the more budget-friendly sedans that will get you from point A to point B comfortably and safely. So, is the Elantra for you? Well, if you're on a budget and you're looking for an everyday car, then yeah, this is quite an easy recommendation. The Elantra is practical, it's comfortable, and it's also pretty fuel efficient. Oh, but you need to keep in mind that Korean cars don't usually hold their value that well as compared to Japanese cars here in Singapore. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.